there are a lot of people making a lot of money in coffee. You can pick the big multinationals. You can pick sort of the big 300-pound gorilla in the room, Starbucks, with all of its. I mean, their share price is doing just fine, and there are plenty of people who have made millions of dollars. And the only way that they can do that is if the consumer doesn't know how it got there, right? Nobody gets up in the morning and say, gee, I really want a cup of the tears of children. Let's just, can somebody brew me a cup of child tears? The industry itself is the beneficiary. And all of the ancillary bits of the industry, the equipment manufacturers, the hemp milk makers, the people
banks
who make fertilizers.
Folks, following on from the success of Map It Forward's online mastermind groups in 2024, we'll be opening up 3 groups again in January 2025 for new participants. 2 of the groups, Sell More Coffee and Grow Your Coffee Business, will be offered again for people who already have businesses and want to expand their business in a supportive environment during these volatile times in the coffee industry. A new group called Start a Cafe or Roastery will be offered for the first time. This is for people who want to start a cafe or roastery in 2025 or are considering opening a coffee business one day in the future. Groups start the week commencing January 13th and prices start at $175 per month for 3 months. These mastermind groups have been a game changer for participants in 2024. So whether you're a coffee roaster, producer, cafe owner, or any other kind of business owner in the coffee industry, or you're hoping to be one in the future, head to mapitforward.coffee/group coaching to secure your spot by paying for the first month in advance or pay the full 3 months up front and get an 11% discount. Spots are limited, so head to our website or click the link in the description and sign up today. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 3 of a fantastic 5-part series with the folks from Biggby Coffee. This is the last series of the season. And we couldn't have ended on a higher note. This is a really fantastic and poignant thing for us to be talking about. Before we go on, I just want to remind people, we get a lot of really beautiful messages through the year of how can we support Map It Forward? What can we do? We know you don't have sponsors, blah, blah, blah. I just want to remind people, and I don't do it often enough, go support our Patreon or go and do one of the workshops on our workshop page. We have the regenerative ag everybody should be doing. If you're thinking about becoming a coffee consultant, you can take the workshops that are there. We will be uploading so much more on-demand learning in 2025, and we're going to keep the workshop prices as cheap as possible so that everybody can afford them. So please support Map It Forward by taking our education. And we have a 100% money back guarantee on everything that we do. So if you don't feel that it benefited you, we'll happily give you your money back. But in 10 years, we have never returned a cent. We've never been asked to return a cent. So that's how confident we are in what we do. So please, we'd love you to support that way or join one of the mastermind groups that we're going to be running in 2025. And check our testimonials page if you would like to see validation of how much benefit that they have. Now, guys, who benefits from the black veil? The black curtain.
Michelle.
Well, it's after you. No, after you. So this is not a hard question to answer. There are a lot of people making a lot of money in coffee. You can pick the big multinationals. You can pick sort of the big 300-pound gorilla in the room, Starbucks, with all of its. I mean, their share price is doing just fine, and there are plenty of people who have made millions of dollars. And the only way that they can do that is if the consumer doesn't know how it got there, right? Nobody gets up in the morning and say, gee, I really want a cup of the tears of children. Let's just, Can somebody brew me a cup of child tears? The industry itself is the beneficiary, and all of the ancillary bits of the industry, the equipment. I mean, the equipment manufacturers, the hemp milk makers, the people
banks,
who make fertilizers, the shipping
companies, the landlords, all of them.
Yeah, all of them. Banks. You know, the finance, to get financing in coffee, and it doesn't matter where you are, it's a ridiculous, usurious percentage that you pay in interest. We've heard as high as 40 to 50%.
Especially with ag loans. It's wild. Yeah. It's wild. Well, and the part... Sorry, just to say one thing.
Please.
If anybody wonders why coffee competitions exist... I'd like you to think about what the people who are putting them on get out of it and why they need baristas who get paid next to fucking nothing to chase this wild dream. It's really important that you start asking yourself these questions, guys. So please go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, no, but on your note, that's not real, this barista competition. I mean, it is a stage to sell more coffee equipment. People dedicate their lives to trying to win this barista competition. There's very few that go on and are able to monetize that for themselves. And I know in our own discussions, you talked about people that faced suicide and all manner of things, right?
More often than not, people who compete and get to the national level or beyond, more often than not, the ones that I have spoken to have told me about the suicidal ideations that they have once they stop competing or when the competition ends. And that's why they run back to competition. It's because they feel the loneliness, they feel a lack of direction, they're hungry for the sound of the crowd, the anticipation. It sounds like people when they compete in sports events and then that all goes away.
Yeah. Well, also, when you say for next to nothing, I mean, most cafes are paying, starting at minimum wage. Maybe that goes up a little bit with some responsibility plus tips, right? So this is a super low, entry level job that you have a high degree of a sense of belonging to. You can get wrapped up in that and slingshot it onto this world stage, and then
with purpose,
right? Yeah. What do you do with that in the end? And it's really hard to survive that particular moment. And anyway, the other thing I would say, who benefits is there's a whole bunch of people in Switzerland and Germany that particularly the Swiss, and I don't want to get in trouble here too much, but they're importing a preponderance of the amount of coffee in this world, but none of it lands in Switzerland. And so there's some suits in both of these countries that are dominating the industry and that are giving you a lens to look through that industry as a consumer or perhaps even as a roaster or maybe other parts of the industry that is completely sanitized, right? But if you want to talk about people making money, it is that group of people. We've talked about the C market several times. Look, on its facial value is supposed to be a supply demand driven system, right? Does supply exceed demand? Does demand exceed supply? But what used to move in a year, that then moved to a month, that then moved to a week, that then moved to a day, and now moves to hours. There are people that are manipulating, betting, arbitraging on this marketplace, all at the expense of the producer. It's a pretend system of supply and demand today. That there is no correlation between supply and demand.
It's a conduit.
Correct.
Across the entire supply chain, coffee is being used as a conduit for selling equipment getting financing on loans,
Yep.
selling rent to people who will create a business. It's enabling a whole bunch of corruption, fuckery, money laundering, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And you might be thinking, well, then why am I in this industry? And why does this crazy woman have a podcast? Where is the hope that's left in this industry? Well, we want the future of coffee very much, I'm going to bring it back to the Syrian people. The Syrian people are tired of the fact that there was a whole system that was built that they were the conduits for.
Yeah.
And now they're tired of it and they won't have it anymore. We have to do the same thing in our industry. And this is our moment. We have a generation, unlike any generation that came before it, Gen Z. And these people are not fucking around.
Correct.
Go ahead.
They have access to the information. I mean, they're willing to do the drill down.
Oh,
The baby boomers were like, just feed it to me, whatever it is. Gen Xers, same thing, really. Millennials begin skepticism, right? But you're right. This newest generation, they're willing to drill down. And there are platforms like yours, like ours, that they can go begin to find the truth, right?
But I do just want to say, because sometimes I don't want Gen Z to hear this, to hear a Gen Xer and a boomer say, you're going to save us. No, we're going to do what we can to clean our shit up. Right.
We're opening the road ahead of you.
We hope you are going to join us for the ride. But we're generationally passing the buck here.
No.
So, and by the way, wholeheartedly, so we talk about the industry and where these weak points are, these shameful points are, and so on. It doesn't have to be that way, right? So there is an alternative way where everybody can still make money. It just that money doesn't have to be concentrated on so few, right? There is a complete supply chain in coffee. If we look at the whole thing, everybody can be allowed to make a reasonable amount of money. And that might sound anti-capitalist, then I would suggest that it's a reasonable amount of money. But where it becomes disproportionate is when there's very few that make an enormous amount of money. There's a whole bunch in the middle that are like hanging on by their frickin' fingernails. And then there's these people at the bottom that we call producers. They're not on the bottom. I hate vertical references. But at the beginning of the supply chain that are just completely getting screwed. And there's like no reason for it whatsoever.
It's parasitic.
Totally.
It's parasitic.
Yes.
We keep them alive just enough
Yeah.
so that they can facilitate the rest of the fuckery. And this is what's changing.
Yeah. So, and coffee is like a canary in a coal mine, I think, to many other industries. But, baby boomers sort of accepted the madman advertising mechanism out there and allowed themselves to be manipulated. I think we should move beyond. But let's say you worked for Ford Motor Company back in the 70s, and they produced a car called the Pinto. And they knew and understood that in a crash, that car could blow up. Then they ran some math on what is an acceptable number of people to die before we would change our design, because that would be kind of expensive. Well, that is all some really effed up math, right? That is really, really screwed up. Now, if you're working for that company, you would know that. You would know that your company did that. And you would have to agree with yourself that you're going to capitulate to the fact that people may die because you're going to work for this company and you're going to be loyal to this company. And I think that glue has melted away, right? And it needs to melt away. When you're working for a company that isn't doing the right thing, you should move on.
Well, and you are complicit. And what I am interested in seeing is,
You are.
and this is where I want to take this conversation now. There's going to be people that are sitting there listening thinking, fuck, I don't want to be complicit. I don't want to have baby's tears on my hands. I don't want to, like, okay, the three of us are conscious capitalists. The three of us are deeply in love with this industry.
Yeah.
We want to see things done better. Folks, if you're listening and you're thinking, what do I do now? We are not telling you this to shame anybody. We're not telling you this because there's no hope. In fact, the fact that this podcast speaks as truthfully and openly about these subjects, and it is growing exponentially every week, should tell you that there are employers out there and there are businesses out there that exist that you could be working for. You have to find the right places to, the number of messages that I've received from people that have said, after listening to your podcast, I left the industry to go and get educated in finance or go and get educated in business management or whatever, so that I could come back and be better and more functional in the industry. There is so much hope to be found here when a company like Biggby, that is as big as it is partaking in these practices. And to be clear and on the record, guys, do we have any kind of financial arrangement?
No, zero.
No.
Nothing. I'm not having this conversation with these guys. I met them a couple of weeks ago. The universe aligned. I tried to get in contact with them earlier this year. It didn't work. And then out of nowhere, it just happened. And thanks to Marianella, Buyers Jost, who put you guys on my radar. And then the more people were speaking really, really fantastically about you. And I'm like, I've got to find a way to get at least for us to get on a phone call, because your publicist or something had tried to contact me and I was trying to contact you or whatever. And I'm like, hold on, this is just going to happen when it happens. And of course, when it happened, we became soulmates. Why? Because we have the same ethos. We can do better as an industry. There is no reason we shouldn't be doing better as an industry. But this fucking black curtain is the reason that people do not want us to do better, because there are too many people that are taking payments on the side and that are benefiting off of the backs of everybody else. You tell me why baristas don't get paid more than they're getting paid. You tell me why baristas in America are getting their wages subsidized by customers. That's utterly fucking disgusting.
Or the government.
Or the government.
Like you can be a barista and be on food stamps. So, I mean, this is the great example of that, of course, is Walmart, whose workforce, the percentage of the workforce that is being subsidized by the government by feeding them with food stamps because they don't pay enough or don't give them enough hours to work is huge. So,
Wow.
We often look at the individual and like, they're getting food stamps. They're not even trying, blah, 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 or whatever you're
pull yourself
you're
up by your
thinking it is.
bootstraps.
Exactly. But meanwhile, the whole idea of corporate welfare is massive. And then it's turned to face the very people that they're employing, and that is absolutely shameful. But I do want to say that, to create change, there's been many attempts at it. And I'm not just talking about the coffee industry, but, religion has tried to create change. Governments have tried to create change. And, we keep referring to the fact that we are capitalists and we are hardcore capitalists. It means that we'd like to earn something after we pay all of our expenses. We definitely want that. But the thing to know about that is that you have a human being that works for you 50% of their waking hours, Monday through Friday. And if you have an opportunity as a business to create change with the people that work for you and the people that you work with, like vendors or your community, or even the planet, we can include the planet in this idea. It is capitalism that can be the catalyst of change. Now, the thing that happened in about the mid 70s is Milton Friedman came up and said that out of all the stakeholders in a business, that the most supreme stakeholder is the shareholder supremacy. And so it became reasonable and rational that at the expense of all other stakeholders, that only the shareholder could be rewarded. And it didn't matter how many dead bodies you were stepping on. It didn't matter how many dead bodies you were stepping on to do it, right? So we have lived in this ethos for a long time. But, I don't think there is visibility into it. Even in America, we keep people running so hard. This is one of the things that happened with COVID, because for 18 months, people could sit at home and think about their lives for a minute. And when they got to the end of COVID, they were like, holy shit, I don't really like what I'm doing with my life. But, as long as the machine is running and you're the gerbil on the hamster, you have no idea that you are just a cog in a wheel of a system that is using
100%. And that shareholder thing is so important. For those who don't understand that the perspective of what, the firecracker that is Milton Friedman, the economist, was talking about. What's so important for you to understand. When a company goes public and shareholders, whether it's public or private, but I will use the example of a company like Starbucks. Once a company like Starbucks goes public, its board of directors have to make decisions and the CEO has to make decisions whereby they are now working for the shareholders and the success of their shareholders. They are the people who own the business. And so every decision that's made in that business from that moment on has the shareholders' success at the focus point. And it ends up being like politics because people are worried that the CEO is going to get canned. The CEO is worried he's going to get canned or she's going to get canned if the shareholders aren't happy. And so what do? They have to be maximizing profits for shareholders. Well, how do you maximize profits for shareholders? You can't scare away the consumer by raising the prices. So you have to cut from the part of your profit and loss statement, which is called your COGS. And that's the price that you pay for the product that you're purchasing, the raw materials that create your product. So that price, we call it a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
And once you get to the very, very bottom of everything and there's nowhere else to go, you end up in 2024. And this is why we could see here at Mapple Forward ever so fucking clearly that this moment was a certainty. There was no way it was ending any other way than what's happening right now. And so when you have businesses that use coffee as a conduit, Starbucks, folks, has its own, for all intents and purposes, its own bank. Oh. That app you deposit money into so that you can buy your Starbucks through the app has $275 million sitting in that account. What do you think? They're just letting it sit there? That's being invested, and many, many, many more amounts of money are being made off that. They announced this week that they're going to start speculating. Coffee has become a conduit for other things. We need to bring coffee back to being about coffee. And that means we need to make some very hard decisions about getting uncomfortable in this industry. And I think that, if what happened in Syria this week taught me anything, it's that my mother, bless her heart, is correct. Lee, give things the time they need for balance to be restored. She said, you're not patient enough. You need to give things time. And it happened in Syria. And now I believe that this is what's happening now. We have broken a system that we didn't realize we are privileged to be a part of.
Absolutely.
And we don't recognize that privilege, and we're going to get fucked because of it.
And,
go ahead.
Syria used, its people are the one that created the change.
Yeah.
Its people, right?
Yeah.
In capitalism, to me, that's the consumer. And what the consumer doesn't realize yet or certainly not the majority of consumers, is that the price you pay for something is not the price you pay.
Mm.
That let's just say that the price you pay for something is one bubble, and then in this bubble over here, we'll put worldwide poverty, and in this bubble over here, we'll put climate change or contribution to climate change. The more your price shrinks, the more the poverty circle expands, and the more the climate change circle expands, right? So you are a participant. If you are seeking the absolute lowest price, the only way to get there is at the expense of other humans and at the expense of the planet, right? So if you're buying coffee in the United States and it's very, very, very cheap to you in your mind, or inexpensive, or you're like, I just go for the cheapest cup of coffee, and then you wonder why people are on our borders trying to get in. It's because the way you get cheap coffee is to perpetuate poverty. People leave their farms. They're like, well, what are we going to do? Go to the city? No, there's nothing there. Let's go north. Let's go to where the money is. Let's go north. And it doesn't matter whether we're talking about from Central and South America to the US or from Africa to Europe or whatever. There is a global migration to the north. So when you buy something cheaply 15 years ago, you didn't feel that, but you feel it now. They are knocking at the door. And with climate change, same thing, right? 15 years ago, sure, we're not clear cutting and burning here in the US. Everything's okay. But half the globe is on fire. Okay. Half the globe is being deforested. And suddenly, you wake up in the morning and you can't breathe anymore because there's so much particulate matter in the air that you need a pharmaceutical, which is constantly being marketed to you to help you breathe better, right? You can look at a sunrise or a sunset in the United States today, and the more beautiful it is simply because of climate change, the amount of particulate matter that is in the air. So the price you pay, the dollar amount, is not the true price that you're paying for your life, your children's life, and your grandchildren's life.
Right? This is all the dark stuff. You said something earlier, like, where's the hope? And then, so I'm coming in with the hope. All the traveling that Bob and I have done since 2018, we're estimating that we've been to maybe 140, 150 coffee farms in that time. We're gone more than we're here. That's for sure. And I'm going to tell you, we have met some amazing producers that are doing incredible things against insurmountable odds, right? For climate, for people, and for their communities.
So true.
There is hope out there. What we do, we're not the hope. They're the hope. We just provide the marketplace for those producers. Right. We have a partner in Chiapas. In 2014, thank you, climate change, Roya Rust pretty much killed all coffee production in Chiapas in 2014. Most of those producers have less than 5 acres, many of them a lot less than 5 acres. This had been their generational way to feed their families. This family stepped...
All the multinationals left.
Yeah, all the multinationals left, of course.
Right? They weren't like, family, let's fix this. Let's get you guys back on track. They just left.
Yeah, no investment in nothing. They just pull. This family had resources. They had a beautiful 180-acre cattle farm in Chiapas. Overnight, they decided they were going to sell all their cattle. They hired an army of small producers to help them turn that back into a coffee farm, reforesting as they did it. The river came back. The birds came back. They trained this army of small producers to go and paid them to go into their communities and train them on different agronomy to help combat Roya. They grew and gave away over 2 million seedlings of rust-resistant varieties. They paid for technical people to come and go out into the field, all to restart coffee.
You should probably
and
drop
guess-
their name so that they can get the credit.
Yeah, this is the larger company is called Cofincaf. The farm is Finca La Fortaleza. It's Pascual Castillo and his wife Maria Esther Saud. And they work with about 2,000 small producers in Chiapas. We buy coffee from them at a farm direct price. We buy coffee through them from 4 communities in Chiapas. These really, really small, very remote places where, they had no access to education or resources or anything like that. And we're connected to those communities now. I mean, they're amazing people. They are changing the world. They definitely changed the world for small producers in Chiapas. So there's hope, is what I'm saying. There are some people doing great things on the ground.
And we need to not kneecap that great work from realizing what it could end up becoming, right? Like not we as in the 3 of us. I mean, all of us as an industry, we need to look for the opportunities to support that work and then take the product that they're offering into the market, continue to be as capitalistic as you want, but not be corrupt capitalists. Be conscious capitalists. There's a way to take the good work of what the producers are doing and then like you make your profit on it. Just don't make them subsidize your product.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well said.
We have in the next episode, we're talking about the consequences of the black curtain. We've started to cover that now, but we're going to go much deeper on that. So join us for the next episode, folks. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day.
I really hope you enjoyed this episode, friends. Please don't forget to show us some love by subscribing, liking, commenting, and most of all, sharing this podcast with your friends. Check the show notes for links, including our sponsors and our Patreon. And stay tuned for more great conversations on the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward.